Oh look, there's a new article on comic book resources about Superman. Let's have a click, shall we? Does Superman need to be white? Yes. Welcome to 2019, where White Man Bad has reached such a peak even aliens can't look Caucasian. Ruben Barron penned this, I'll be generous, retarded clusterfuck of stupidity for CBR, the wokest of the comic book news sites. So you know this article is going to be a thing of special magnificence, so let's just get into it. Ruben says, quote, Michael B. Jordan is no stranger to superhero movies. He endured playing Johnny Storm in the 2015 Fantastic Four before finding much greater success as the villainous Killmonger in Black Panther. As recently as last fall, rumors abounded that the rising star was going to add an even bigger superhero role to his resume, arguably the biggest superhero role there is. As Warner Bros. Reportedly sought to recalibrate its plans for the DC Extended Universe following the apparent exit of Henry Cavill, Jordan was said to be under consideration to play Superman. Okay, you know there are other black actors, right? There's not just Michael B. Jordan, he can't be in everything, pick someone else. I'm sure there were plenty of other talented black actors from Black Panther. None of them come to mind, but I'm sure they were there, so pick one of them. Seriously, I don't see the reason for Warner's ditching Cavill. He only had one proper film. Give the dude a sequel. It's not Cavill's fault that the films didn't work well. Part of it was on the director, and the majority of it was from the studio who kept cutting out large chunks of the film to get shorter run times because they thought that they could get more butts in seats. Never mind that several of the highest grossing films are almost 3 hours or longer. However did they get to $1 billion if the movies are so long? Shh. People went to see them again. Shh. So Ruben says that Jordan appeared on an Oprah show and said that he was flattered by the rumors, but that he wouldn't want to play Clark Kent because of, quote, the inevitable comparisons to previous portrayals. You mean that your ass is black? Because that's what people are going to say. Why is this black dude playing Superman? Superman ain't black. Jordan had the perfect response. He'd rather play Calvin Ellis from Grant Morrison's Final Crisis storyline. According to Ruben, quote, Jordan said he thinks the comic book purist can accept that more than me being Clark Kent. Purist. That's a funny word for fans. Fans would be annoyed with a black guy playing Superman when he looks nothing like Superman. If he looked like Superman, nobody would say anything. I'm not just talking about the physical build, but the face. You need to look like Superman with the S-curl and everything, or no. So you already know where this is going. So let's just get there. Quote, left unspoken is that Jordan's already been on that particular end of controversy over playing the traditionally white Johnny Storm. While memories of that fury have mostly faded due to the 2015 Fantastic Four having far more for comic fans to complain about than just some non-traditional casting, it's clear to everyone that there's a certain segment of fandom that gets angry anytime a traditionally white character gets reimagined as a person of color. You mean most fans? It's not a segment, it's literally the majority of fans want to see live-action versions of characters the way they look in the books. Now, this obviously isn't going to be perfect, but it doesn't hurt to try. Few people take a look at Superman and go, why can't he be black? It's not open casting. The character has looked a certain way for over 75 years. You don't just change that. That was part of the reason why people, myself included, were bothered by Jordan being cast as Human Torch. That's not what the Human Torch looks like. Take the book, make it real. That's what most fans want. But let's flip the script. The same purist, he means racist, but this is a vagina monologue, so you should expect a little bit of pussy. These purists, these fans, have the same reaction whenever any character's race is changed. They were pissy about the Ancient One being changed. They were pissy about Ra's al Ghul and Bane being changed, but I guess that's okay. It's fine when they're complaining about changing a minority character. It's only when the character is white that they're being racist, purist. And just in case you think my not actual Freudian slip is in my imagination, Mr. Panties in a Bunch says, quote, of course, a significant portion of those same fans get angry about legacy heroes of color, or even about original heroes of color getting too much attention. See the backlash against Black Panther's Best Picture nomination. Hold on, I just need to find something. I got an extra one around here, it's just, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Fuck you. Nobody has a problem with minority superheroes getting attention. The problem was the ridiculous spin placed on those characters. The far left acted like they'd never seen a black superhero before. Wesley Snipes is like, motherfucker, I made 3 movies. You didn't just forgot about all these black people on screen. I mean, some of them deserve to be forgotten. You know who you are. But it's not like there were no black superheroes before Black Panther. You just erased 2 decades worth of TV shows and films to peddle this lie, and then you do it with Black Panther, a film so diverse that only 2 of its main cast wasn't black. So diverse. You praise this film as finally showing representation, even though it's a film about a xenophobic, race supremacist, wealthy, power-hungry nation who keeps its technology to itself despite being on the poorest continent on the planet, offers no assistance to its fellow poor nations, but instead hides itself with a cloaking field so no one can find it, and if anyone does manage to get in, the black supremacist Wakandans will kill them, and their little dogs too. Yeah, that's the thing that should get tons of attention. And the irony of the far left praising the Wakandans for their isolationism and wall building never crossed their fucking minds. And then there were the dumbass niggas trying to find Wakanda, for real, actually searching the shit on Hotels.com, to the point the company had to post a note telling these fools Wakanda ain't real. Never you mind that even at the end of the film, they still technically ain't letting in outsiders, so even if it did exist, your ass ain't getting a hotel. This is the level of stupid Black Panther brought out of people, and then it got dumber when these fools tried to claim Black Panther was one of the best films ever made. Not the best superhero film, and it's not even close, not even in the top 20, but best film. Better than Seven Samurai. I mean, that's all I can say. So get the fuck out of here with your bullshit about people being racist against Black Panther. Oh, but Ruben's got more to say. Quote, arguing with purists merely concerned about canon might be more productive than those who just get angry about any heroes of color, but it's still a challenge. Those interested in seeing a black Superman on the big screen can sidestep such arguments by requesting a Calvin Ellis movie. But let's say Warner Brothers isn't going to make a Calvin Ellis movie, but instead a Black Clark Kent movie. How do you defend that to purists? You don't. It's indefensible. The character isn't black. In 75 years, he's never been black, so this is a pretty radical change that has zero justification story-wise, actor-wise, or fan-wise. The only reason to do it is to play politics. That's it. And if that's the reason, you shouldn't do it. First, oh, this nigga's actually gonna try to explain this shit. Okay. First, you can try to get them to acknowledge that being a comic book purist is something of a contradiction for fans of heroes with as long and storied a history as Superman. If we were purists about Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster's original 1938 comics, Superman wouldn't be able to fly and kryptonite wouldn't exist. Those were radio show inventions. Our whole concept of the character is a result of many artists over the years making changes big and small. Changing Superman's skin color would be just another alternate take on the character. Oh, look who found Wikipedia. You know, I was gonna be gentle, but fuck it, I'm going in. No one wants to see the original Superman. That's not Superman. I know it's technically Superman, but that's not the Superman everyone knows. That's the one that we want to see. Let me explain how this works, since you clearly don't understand. Once something becomes so ingrained in pop culture that it becomes iconic, you can't change it because everyone knows the story. This is why every Jesus movie has Jesus whining to his daddy, who's technically himself, talking to the other dudes on the cross, and forgiving those who crucified him, even though all of those happen in different gospels. It's there because everyone knows those parts of the story, so to not have them there would seem wrong. You want to know why every depiction of Krypton is just a little cold and sterile? Because of the Donner films. Everyone knows that's what Krypton looks like, so that's how it's depicted. Even when it's lightened up, it's never what it was in the Golden Age. It's never that Disney, not anymore. So this is why Superman flies, why he's vulnerable to kryptonite, and why Krypton will always be a dark and broody place. It's iconic. It's in our culture, so much so that people who've never read a comic, watched the movie, or seen a TV show can tell you all about Superman. That's the point of becoming iconic. It's the same reason why no one else can ever be Superman. Superman will forever be Clark Kent. Anyone else is just using the name. The same goes for his appearance. You know how most people don't like the solid blue suit, even though the trunks on the outside thing is totally outdated? That's why. Margot Kidder called out Superman Returns because of the small S shield and his hair being the wrong way. That's how iconic that look is. Take it one step further. Every actor who has portrayed Superman after Christopher Reeve kinda looks like Christopher Reeve. Even Dean Cain. Even the comics made the change. We all know that's what Superman looks like, except when he gets old, then he looks like George Reeves, so you can't change it. Any change will be treated as not the real Superman. The actor has to look the part. Period. But Ruben says, quote, just look at Aquaman.
Arthur Curry's always been blonde-haired and blue-eyed in comics, but on screen, he's played by mixed-race Jason Momoa. That's because nobody gives a fuck about Aquaman. He could have been played by a one-eyed, one-horned, blind purple people eater, and nobody would have cared. And people still don't care about Aquaman. They care about Jason Momoa, and all that sexy. Big Sexy is on screen, that's why we're there, that's it. Nobody wants to see a man talk to fish. They want to see Jason Momoa pose in front of the camera. So Ruben admits that nobody cares about Aquaman. So why'd you bring it up? Pointless. But he says, quote, and it's hard for many to see Superman as anyone but a white guy.
Except for Dean Cain. You know, the mixed-race guy who played Superman in Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman? He's part Japanese. His surname is actually Tanaka. I'm sure he got some clapback when he took the role, but most people have no problem with him because he looks the part. He kind of looks like Christopher Reeve, and he looks similar to the comic book version of Superman. If he'd been darker skinned, they probably wouldn't have cast him. But Dean Cain looks the part, and nobody really has a problem. Honestly, how old are you, Ruben? Because anybody over 25 should have known this shit, even if you didn't watch the show. You didn't even do your research, did you? Did you? You had an idea. I'm gonna talk about Black Superman, how everybody's racist, and wrote a rant and didn't even bother to look anything up about the actors who played Superman, who you should already know if you were a comic book fan. So, someone tweeted this to Dean Cain, and he was like, really? You're about 25 years too late. Then CBR corrected the article by changing a couple of lines and then adding this bullshit at the end. Quote, the purpose of this article was to raise the question of how fans will react to a person of color playing Superman today. Except, knowing how people reacted to the casting in the past would give us an idea of how people might react today, considering Superman was way more popular then than he is now. Not to suggest that it had not been done before. You know, if you're gonna lie, at least cut out the part about Aquaman because it makes your lie sound like bullshit. Ruben's totally arguing that it hasn't been done before, and he's either forgotten or didn't know about Dean Cain, which again would be impossible if he were a comic book fan. Nor ignore the contributions to the character by any one actor on screen. He didn't talk about any actor's contributions. If he had done that, his argument would fall apart because he would see that once something became popular and common knowledge and then iconic, people would just expect those traits or things to be in any representation of Superman. However, as Dean Cain is an actor of Japanese descent, we acknowledge that the original article should have made mention of him playing the character on the Lois and Clark TV program between 1993 and 1997 and have updated the post accordingly. Translation.
Fine, we'll count the Jap bastard. Happy now?
Honestly, could you sound any more racist?
Since he's an actor of Japanese descent, fuck you. What kind of sentence is that? And then listing the dates of the show like he wasn't Superman that long. Fuck you. Just say you're sorry. You should have just pulled the article, but that takes integrity, of which CBR is clearly lacking. So the least you could do is apologize without making it sound like you're this close to calling them a racial slur. Asshole. Speaking of assholes, Ruben comes back in. Quote, except technically, Superman isn't Caucasian. He's Kryptonian. Oh, get the fuck out of here. I thought he was human. What are you talking about? We all know he's Kryptonian. It's in the origin, man. What's wrong with you? Superman is a member of an alien race.
No shit. Did you read the comic books or lick the ink off of them? We all know it's a fictional race, Robbie. You don't have to explain this to us. It's not like it's Santa Claus. We already know it's not real.
There's no reason a fantasy alien has to be played by a white guy.
You know, I wish there were time machines. Because I think we should go back in time and get your mama while she's still pregnant, just ready to pop, bring it to modern day Virginia and let Governor Blackface Northam have his way. I mean, this kind of stupid has to be called clip at the root, shut out of existence. It cannot be allowed to exist in our gene pool.
In fact, scientifically speaking, there's actually reason to believe that beings dependent on absorbing solar radiation for power would be darker skinned.
See, this is what happens when you let your child breastfeed until he's 12. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I actually have to explain this. It's 2019, I'm a grown man, and now I have to explain to this progressive jackass how Kryptonian powers work. Because while he was busy looking up facts about Superman flying, Ruben I Still Drink Titty Juice Baron never bothered to learn about Krypton. You can tell he's not a fan, and probably not human, because every human on the fucking planet knows that Kryptonians only have power when exposed to yellow sunlight. Red sunlight, like the one from their home planet, depowers them, because on Krypton, they didn't have powers. How do you not fucking know that? How? Just, there are bowls of cum and spittle that are smarter than this man. By the way, there were black Kryptonians. I'm not even going to tell you how to find that out. It's just true. So then he tries to sidestep his retarded argument and says, quote, well, let's ignore scientific plausibility now and instead focus on meaning. Superman is an alien because Superman represents the outsider. He's able to assimilate, to pass as part of the majority, but he's a minority. Siegel and Schuster were both children of Jewish immigrants at the time when Jews and other immigrant groups didn't have the social status of whiteness in America. Yeah, that's not what they were doing. They treated Superman's story like that of Moses. It wasn't about him passing as part of the majority, but thinking he was one of us, and then discovering that he's not. Unlike Moses, Superman doesn't try to become more alien upon learning his origin. Instead, he endeavors to be more human, representing the best humanity has to offer, specifically truth, justice, and the American way. There was no outsider shit. He literally tells the world he's an alien. His dual identity is just a means for him to have a semi-normal life. That's it. He's not trying to pass as human. He is human in every way but his DNA. But if you wanted to directly capture the original metaphorical power of their vision and translate it to the present day, you don't cast a white actor, but someone like Oscar Isaac or Rami Malek, actors of color who can pass enough to play white characters. What the fuck did I just tell you? He's not trying to pass as human. That's not his story. Not at all. What world did you come from? I just want to know which alternate reality doesn't have Superman, because even 4-year-olds know this shit and you are just clueless. A black Superman is a radical change from the assimilated immigrant vision of Superman. A black Clark Kent could hide his powers, but he could never hide being part of a minority group. This extreme visibility, this inability to hide his outsiderness, would be even more dramatic if he's still adopted by a white family in Kansas. It's not the traditional Superman dynamic, but it's potentially a very interesting one. You know, I read this book. It's called Black as Fuck, America's Sweetheart, and it sucked. There is no drama to be had because the fantasy element plays second fiddle to the real world element. This isn't Superman. You've not only changed the story, you've changed the metaphor. His alien origin would mean nothing in context to his race because we all know you'd never treat his race as irrelevant. So what you would have is a story about a black alien who's hated more for being black than being alien. And Rubin proves my point. Quote, truth, justice, and the American way has fallen out of fashion with the franchise in recent decades, but with the Black Superman, the seemingly antiquated slogan is given new meaning. It becomes a question, an examination, or a debate about criminal justice, inequality, and so forth. That's a completely different story, meaning it's not Superman. It's race baiting, and this is how it always goes. You people pretend that you just want everyone to belong, so let's just make him black. It won't change a thing. It's just a color swap. It shouldn't matter. And then 5 seconds later, it's all about people trying to lynch Chocolate Kal-El. That's not Superman. It's not even close. If that's the story you want to see, create a new character and tell that story. Don't take an iconic character, shit all over him until he's black enough for you, and then play racial politics. Translating an immigrant allegory to an African-American allegory requires some shaking up of details, but this new take on Superman could prove just as inspirational. I pity the pickaninny inspired by such race-baiting drivel. We might as well give that fool a bucket of chitlins with a side of watermelon and pig feet to help him on his way to Wakanda. There's nothing inspirational about having an alien facing bigotry based on people assuming he's from a group of humans they don't like. And keep in mind, for a good chunk of the story, he wouldn't even know he was alien. You really haven't thought this idea out. The world accepts Superman, so somehow we're supposed to believe that these people will welcome an alien while they're hanging black humans from trees. Being a black Superman would be an even greater problem because now their fear of him would be justified. He's an all-powerful black man who could literally control the world. They'd never accept him. We know what happened in the US in terms of race. There's no way you could tell that story without it becoming all about race and what happens when black people get power. That is what the story would become because there's no way to avoid it unless you don't focus on his race. If nobody cares that he's black, then the story can unfold as it did before, with the exception that everyone would know that he's not John and Martha's biological son. Nothing else would change. But you don't want that. You want the racial politics, and that's never been what Superman was about. Quote, whether they present him as Calvin Ellis or call him Clark Kent, if WB decides to make the next Superman black, there's no reason to get angry and plenty of reason to get excited. There's nothing to be excited about. They're either fundamentally changing Superman's character or they're not telling a real Superman story.
That's not what anyone wants. We want Superman. We want the awesomeness of the Donner films with the modern look and special effects. That's what we want. So you find a guy who looks like Superman and make the movie. That's it. Let him smile once in a while, have a villain who isn't after more land, and don't fuck it up. That's all we want. If you can find a light-skinned black dude with good hair and a solid perm who looks the part and can act, hire him. But if he's darker than Prince, it's a no-go. You understand? Unless he's got a tan, that's as dark as you can go. You can have a non-white actor play the character as long as the character himself is never presented as anything other than appearing Caucasian, because that's what Superman looks like. He's an alien who looks like a Caucasian human. Deal with it.